Have you ever, stood in the grocery store aisle just staring at this massive wall of olive oil, feeling totally paralyzed by the choices?
Oh, absolutely. It really is the classic modern consumer dilemma.
Right. I mean, you're holding a $10 bottle in one hand, a $40 bottle in the other. They both proudly say extra virgin on the label.
Exactly. And they both look like, slightly different shades of liquid gold.
Yeah. And you are just standing there hoping a culinary expert will magically appear to tell you which one is actually worth buying.
Mm.
Well, today, we're solving that problem for you.
Because we have more choices on the shelves than at any point in human history, but somehow significantly less clarity on what actually matters inside the bottle.
Which is exactly why, in this deep dive, we are embarking on a journey to decode the global olive oil industry. We're using a comprehensive guide provided by Olea Legacy, and we're going to explore the hidden, just completely fascinating battle playing out between Greek, Italian, and Spanish olive oils.
And it really is a battle. I mean, it's an economic and agricultural war that dictates what you eat every single day, mostly without you even realizing it's happening.
So true.
Yeah.
Our goal today is to give you a shortcut to being highly informed. By the time we're done, you're going to know exactly what you are putting in your body and, on your salad. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the sheer scale of the global olive oil market.
Because when you look at the macro numbers, it's wild.
Yeah, you uncover this massive paradox between how much oil a country produces versus the actual quality of the oil they put out into the world.
We can call it the volume versus purity paradox. To truly understand the global market, you have to look at the big three Mediterranean powerhouses. So Spain, Italy, and Greece.
Right.
And their approaches to farming and production, I mean, they couldn't possibly be more different.
Let's start with the undisputed volume king, which is Spain.
Yeah.
Spain is producing a massive 40 to 50% of the world's olive oil.
Almost half of the entire global supply from one country.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But to achieve that staggering scale, they rely heavily on large-scale mechanical harvesting and highly industrialized processing.
Right. They are optimizing entirely for yield and efficiency. Because, when you're supplying half the world, you can't have people handpicking fruit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You have massive machines that drive over the trees or violently shake the trunks to get the olives to drop. But the problem with that efficiency is, well, it's biological.
How so?
Mechanical harvesting inevitably bruises the olives.
And bruising is bad for the oil.
It's disastrous if you want top-tier quality. When an olive is bruised, its cellular structure breaks down, and an oxidation cascade begins immediately.
Oh, wow.
So you are essentially degrading the quality, the flavor, and the health properties of the oil before the olive has even made it to the pressing facility.
That makes perfect sense. So
Yeah.
Spain has the volume, but they sacrifice some of that top-end purity to get it. Then you have Italy, which produces about 10 to 15% of the global share. And what is really interesting about Italy is that they managed to make 50 to 60% of that total output into extra virgin olive oil, or EVOO.
Exactly. They've essentially cornered the market on regional diversity and just brilliant branding. Italy has done an incredible job at marketing the romance of their countryside.
Right, but their domestic volume is still relatively small compared to Spain. Then we get to Greece. Greece also produces about 10 to 15% of the global volume, putting them right on par with Italy in terms of sheer size.
But here is the staggering twist.
Yeah, 70 to 80% of Greece's total output is graded as extra virgin olive oil.
That is an extraordinarily high percentage. It represents a completely different philosophy of agriculture, one that rejects the industrial model almost entirely.
To wrap my head around this, I kept thinking about the beer industry. Is Spain basically operating as the massive commercial mega brewery of olive oil, pumping out huge, reliable volume, while Greece is operating more like a network of obsessive small batch microbreweries?
What's fascinating here is how that comparison works for the scale of production, but it actually falls short when you look at the intent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because microbreweries are usually trying to invent new, trendy flavors, right? Greek olive farmers are fiercely trying to protect a process and a flavor that hasn't changed in 1,000 years.
Ah, that's it.
That 70 to 80% EVOO statistic, that's the direct result of how the Greek industry is structured.
Yeah.
It is overwhelmingly dominated by small family estates and local cooperatives rather than massive industrial conglomerates.
And because they are small, They have the luxury of doing things the hard way, right?
Yeah, right.
They prioritize hand harvesting.
Hmm.
Instead of using giant machines to shake the trees, they're out there physically combing the branches.
Exactly. By hand harvesting, Greek farmers are protecting the physical integrity of the fruit, preventing that oxidation we talked about earlier.
Right.
But they don't stop there. They prioritize immediate cold extraction. We're talking about getting the olives from the branch to the press within hours, not days.
Because if they sit around, they go bad.
Yeah, if you leave olives sitting in a massive pile in the sun for 2 days before pressing them, they begin to ferment. The Greek method avoids this entirely.
Wow.
Furthermore, they use minimal filtration, keeping single variety, single region lots separate. They don't just dump everything into one giant homogeneous vat just to meet a volume quota.
Wait, hold on. This brings us to a massive contradiction.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Right. If Greece is producing all this liquid gold, and they have the highest percentage of premium extra virgin olive oil in the world, where is it? Because when I walk down the aisle at my local supermarket, almost every premium bottle on the top shelf proudly says, product of Italy.
Yep. You've just stumbled onto one of the food industry's most closely guarded open secrets. It's the illusion of the Italian olive oil.
Are you telling me that the expensive artisanal Tuscan oil you might buy for $40 to impress your dinner guests might actually just be Greek or Spanish oil wearing an Italian designer suit?
It's a great analogy, but it's even deeper than that. It's not just wearing a suit. It's a completely legal identity swap. Seriously.
Yeah, significant volumes of what is sold globally as Italian olive oil are actually blends. Italy imports vast quantities of high-quality oil from Greece, as well as bulk oils from Spain, Tunisia, and Turkey.
Okay.
And they blend them together inside Italy.
How is that legal? I mean, if the olives were grown in Greece, picked in Greece, and pressed in Greece, how can it be called a product of Italy?
It all comes down to a massive loophole in European Union customs and labeling laws. Legally, the EU allows a bottle to be labeled as product of Italy as long as the final blending and bottling processes happen within Italy's borders.
Am I kidding?
Nope. The agricultural origin of the fruit doesn't legally have to dictate the country of origin on the front of the label.
That is wild. It completely exploits our perception of Italian culinary supremacy. You know, you see a beautiful rustic label with a Tuscan villa on it, you read bottled in Italy, and you happily pay a premium assuming you're getting the pure essence of the Italian countryside.
Exactly.
But the bottling companies are using cheaper source materials from other countries to pad their profit margins. No. To be fair to Italy, they earned this position through a historic mastery of global branding.
Sure.
Following World War II, and through the massive Italian diaspora, they did the vital work of popularizing olive oil in places like the United States and Northern Europe, really elevating it to a true culinary art form.
That makes sense. They paved the way.
Right. But as global demand skyrocketed, Italian domestic farm productions simply couldn't keep up. They didn't have the land or the yield. So their massive commercial bottling companies adapted. They became the master blenders and marketers of the Mediterranean's wider supply.
Okay, but Greece surely isn't just taking this lying down, right?
Huh.
I mean, they are doing all the hard agricultural labor only to watch Italian brands take the credit and the profit.
Oh, they are actively fighting back, and the landscape is definitely shifting. Greece is pushing hard for estate bottling, meaning the oil is bottled right where it is pressed.
Okay.
They are also aggressively pursuing strict PDO and PGI protections.
Let's define those for a second because we see those acronyms on food a lot.
For sure. PDO stands for Protected Designation of Origin, and PGI is Protected Geographical Indication. Legally, a PDO certification means that if a bottle claims to be from a specific region in Greece, the olives had to be grown there, harvested there, pressed there, and bottled there.
So you can't just fake it.
Right. You can't just ship bulk oil in a tanker across the Mediterranean and slap a regional sticker on it. It legally locks the geography to the product.
That makes total sense. It forces transparency.
Precisely. We're also seeing a huge rise in direct consumer ownership models. The guide highlights Olea Legacy's tree-to-table approach, where there are absolutely no middlemen.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, traceability, like knowing exactly which grove and even which specific tree your oil comes from, is rapidly becoming the ultimate luxury in the modern food market. People want absolute provenance.
It's the ultimate flex.
Yeah.
You aren't just buying oil, you're buying a specific geographical coordinate. But now that we know pure Greek oil is often hidden from us, blended away into large commercial brands, we need to explore what it actually tastes like on its own.
Oh, absolutely.
And to do that, we have to look at the biological root of the flavor itself, the olive.
You can't separate the oil from the fruit. The cultivar dictates everything.
Yeah, and each country has a champion olive. Spain has the Picual, which is robust, highly efficient, and yields a massive 40 to 60 kilograms of olives per tree.
That's a huge yield.
Huge. Italy leans heavily on the Frantoio and Licino varieties, which produce those fruity, elegant, and very balanced oils people tend to love. But Greece's crown jewel, it's an ancient olive called the Koroneiki.
The Koroneiki is a truly fascinating agricultural specimen. It behaves completely differently than the Spanish picual.
Really does. Because the Koroneiki olive is tiny. We're talking 1 to 2 grams per olive, which is about the size of a small blueberry.
So small.
Yeah, and because it's so small, the yield is incredibly low. A tree only produces 15 to 25 kilograms of fruit, which is less than half of what a Spanish tree produces. But despite its tiny size, it consists of an incredibly rich 20 to 27% oil by weight.
It packs a massive punch. And you have to factor in the terroir, too. These Greek trees are often grown in very dry, rocky, mineral-rich soil. The tree has to struggle to survive, which concentrates the nutrients in the fruit.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Furthermore, to get the absolute best oil, the Greek producers harvest these tiny olives early, usually in September or October, long before they are fully ripe and black.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because harvesting early seems totally counterintuitive if you are trying to run a profitable business.
Exactly.
Think about juicing a lemon. Anyone who has ever tried to juice a firm, unripe green lemon knows it takes immense physical force and you barely get a trickle of juice.
Right, it's a workout.
But if you juice a soft, overripe yellow lemon, the liquid just pours out. The exact same physics apply to an early harvest olive. The flesh is hard, the water content is much lower, and the cell walls haven't broken down yet.
Yep.
It is much, much harder for the mechanical centrifuge to extract the oil from a firm, early harvest olive.
It's tremendously difficult. They literally get 25 to 35% less oil per tree by harvesting early compared to waiting a few months for the olives to ripen and soften.
So why do it? Why sacrifice massive amounts of volume and take a huge financial hit just to get this early harvest oil? Because the guide describes the resulting flavor profile as bold, vibrant green, grassy, with a pronounced bitterness and a uniquely peppery finish. Why work so incredibly hard for a bitter, peppery bite?
This raises an important question, and it's perhaps the most crucial point for you to understand about premium olive oil. That peppery bite that catches at the back of your throat.
Yeah, the one that makes you cough a little.
Yes. That slight bitterness on your tongue, those aren't flaws. They aren't signs that the oil has gone bad. In fact, they are the exact chemical indicators of the oil's purity and its immense health power.
So we aren't just talking about a flavor preference anymore. We're talking about human biology. That peppery flavor is intrinsically linked to profound health benefits.
Exactly. That peppery bite is caused by an exceptionally high density of polyphenols. Right. Polyphenols are natural chemical compounds found in plants that act as powerful antioxidants. And the Koroneiki olive, particularly when harvested early, is loaded with a specific polyphenol called oleocanthal.
The numbers really put this into perspective. An early harvest Greek extra virgin olive oil boasts between 300 and 800 milligrams per kilogram of polyphenols.
That's massive.
You compare that to your standard late harvest or commodity oils sitting on the bottom shelf of the grocery store, those are hovering way down at 150 to 300 milligrams per kilogram. It's an entirely different league.
It's a night and day difference in the actual chemical composition of the oil. And these antioxidants do incredible work inside the human body. Oleocanthal specifically is scientifically linked to lowered inflammation.
Wow.
In fact, it acts on the same biological pathways in your body as ibuprofen. Regular consumption provides robust cardiovascular health support, helps protect brain function, and is widely considered a key dietary factor in overall longevity and immune defense.
This explains so much about the economics of the grocery store aisle. It justifies why a premium early harvest Greek extra virgin olive oil costs anywhere between 25 and 60 British pounds for a 500 milliliter bottle.
Absolutely.
Because when you pay that price, you aren't just paying for a fancy glass bottle or a beautiful label. You are paying for the intense physical labor of hand harvesting tiny low-yield olives, the rapid temperature-controlled extraction process, and most importantly, these highly measurable, scientifically validated health benefits.
You are paying for a fundamentally different product. You are buying an oil optimized entirely for human health, rather than being optimized for shelf stability or industrial corporate yield.
I hear that, but 60 pounds for a bottle of oil is a steep price tag for anyone.
Yeah.
So at that price point, are you buying a condiment to keep next to your stove, or are you basically buying a natural anti-inflammatory medicine?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, particularly within Greek culture, the answer is that there's absolutely no separation between the two.
Oh, interesting.
The concept of food as medicine is foundational to their way of life. The olive tree isn't just an agricultural crop you harvest for cash, it is considered sacred.
The heritage aspect covered in the material is amazing. It stretches all the way back into ancient Greek mythology. The story goes that the goddess Athena actually gifted the very first olive tree to the city of Athens in order to win their patronage.
Right.
Olympic victors weren't given gold medals, they were crowned with wreaths made of olive branches. This tree was used as a religious worship offering, it was traded as currency, and it was heavily utilized as medicine.
Because it's a living tradition, it's an inheritance passed down through centuries. Many of the Greek trees producing this high polyphenol peppery oil today are over 1,000 years old.
That's just wild to think about.
They have deep, gnarled roots and have been tended by generations of the exact same families. This is why the preservation of these ancient, low-input groves is so incredibly vital. They aren't just producing health foods, they are highly sustainable ecosystems.
Right, because of the carbon, right.
Exactly. These ancient trees act as massive carbon sinks, quietly capturing and storing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere over their incredibly long lifespans.
It's mind-blowing to think that you can sit at your kitchen table and consume something freshly pressed from a tree that was already alive and thriving during the Middle Ages. But okay, we've covered the economics, the science, the EU labeling laws, and the ancient history. Now, we need to bring all of this directly into your home. How should you actually use this knowledge tonight when you are making dinner?
Application is everything. If you don't know how to use these different oils correctly, you are going to waste that expensive 60-pound bottle very quickly, and you won't get any of the health benefits.
Let's break it down by country, starting with the heavy hitter, Greek EVO. Because of its bold, peppery flavor and those delicate, health-boosting polyphenols we just talked about, the golden rule here is never waste premium Greek EVO by cooking with it.
Never.
Exposing it to high heat destroys the polyphenols and flattens out that vibrant, grassy flavor. Instead, you drizzle it raw.
Right. It is purely a finishing oil. You drizzle it generously over fresh salads, dark leafy greens, or over a piece of grilled fish right after it comes off the heat.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
You can pour it over warm pulses, fresh feta cheese, or honestly just dip a piece of crusty warm bread directly into it. You want to taste the raw intensity and the bitterness of that Kornacki olive.
Then we have Italian EVOO. This generally has a softer, more balanced, and elegant fruitiness. So this is what you want to use for your classic Italian dishes. Use it to finish your pasta, drizzle it over fresh mozzarella and tomatoes, blend it into a rich pesto, or stir it into your tomato sauces.
Yes.
Its elegance enhances the dish without completely overpowering the other delicate ingredients.
It acts as the great harmonizer in the kitchen, bringing different flavors together beautifully.
And finally, Spanish EVOO. Since Spain's production is optimized for high yield and heavily relies on the picul olive, they generally produce oils with a slightly milder character and much greater heat stability. So this is your absolute go-to for the heavy lifting. Use this for making tapas, frying vegetables, building the rich base of heavy stews, or whipping up a garlic aioli.
Exactly. Every single oil has a specific culinary purpose, completely dictated by how it was grown and how it was processed.
So what does this all mean? The way I see it, you should treat your Spanish oil like your reliable, everyday workhorse vehicle. It gets the job done, you use it for the heavy lifting, and you aren't afraid to get it a little dirty by throwing it into a hot frying pan.
Yep.
But you should treat your early harvest, polyphenol-rich Greek EVOO like a rare vintage sports car. You only take it out on the weekend for a special drive, you treat it with immense respect, and don't you dare ruin it by using it to fry an egg.
I think that's a perfect way to internalize it. Understanding these differences allows you to stop wasting your money and stop ruining great products. You don't need to use a vintage sports car to haul heavy groceries, and you don't need a medicinal 60-pound bottle of early harvest oil to saute onions. If you buy the right tool for the right culinary job, you will instantly elevate your cooking while also protecting your financial investment.
It is such a practical, everyday takeaway. Let's do a quick recap of the journey we've been on today. We learned that when it comes to the global olive oil market, Spain brings the massive volume and the industrial efficiency.
Yes.
Italy brings the brilliant marketing, the blending magic, and the European Union loopholes. But Greece brings the uncompromising purity, the ancient low-yield Koroneiki olive, and that polyphenol-packed anti-inflammatory peppery punch.
The global landscape is surprisingly complex, but the data and history from Olea Legacy really give us a very clear map to navigate it.
Absolutely. The next time you are standing in that grocery store aisle, staring at the intimidating wall of green and gold bottles, you aren't going to be paralyzed anymore. You now have the insider knowledge to read right past the marketing on the label, understand exactly what kind of oil's inside, and know exactly what it was designed to do in your kitchen.
You've moved from being a passive consumer hoping for the best to an informed participant in a millennia-old agricultural tradition.
And before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, building on what we learned about those ancient Greek groves and their deep roots. We talked about how traditional Greek olive trees are incredibly sustainable, acting as massive carbon sinks.